It's a scene that could happen to anyone, a woman at the airport, ready for her long-awaited flight. But instead of a smooth check-in process, she's faced with a shocking turn of events. The airport staff refuses to let her board. No explanation, no warning, just a sudden barrier that leaves her standing at the gate, confused and frustrated. The clock is ticking, and the departure time is fast approaching. What could possibly have gone wrong? As she tries to explain herself, the tension rises. The staff is firm, and the situation quickly escalates. Passengers around her start to take notice, whispering and exchanging glances. But the woman doesn't seem worried. There's a calm determination in her eyes. She knows something that no one else does. Just when it seems like she's stuck with no options left, a group of private security personnel appears. They move through the crowd, their presence commanding attention. The airport staff looks visibly shaken as the security team approaches the woman, offering her an unspoken sense of assurance. It's clear that this isn't just any ordinary situation. The woman might have the answers everyone's waiting for, but what could possibly be her connection to such powerful figures? Is this the beginning of something much bigger? Stay tuned, because the next part of this story will leave you questioning everything you thought you knew about airport security and the secrets they might be hiding. The woman stands quietly, her gaze fixed ahead, as the private security team surrounds her. Their uniforms are crisp, their movements swift and coordinated, as if they've done this many times before. To anyone watching, it looks like an ordinary situation, nothing more than a routine intervention. But the way the staff begins to fidget, glancing nervously between one another, tells a different story. They seem almost afraid, like they've just realized they're out of their depth. The woman remains calm, almost unlovingly so, as if she's been through this kind of thing countless times before. To most, this would be a shocking incident, one they would hope to avoid at all costs. But for her, there's no sign of panic. The woman is used to detention. She's been here before, and she knows the drill. It's not her first encounter with private security, and it likely won't be her last. Yet, there's something unusual about this particular moment. The air is thick with a sense of urgency that she can't ignore. This isn't just about a missed flight or a misunderstanding. There's something much larger at play here. As the airport staff begins to back off, the woman's private security takes control. They quietly speak to her, their words low enough not to be overheard, but it's clear they are discussing something serious. The woman nods, her expression unreadable. Whatever is happening, she's part of it. But what could be so important that it would demand this level of intervention at an ordinary airport? The other passengers watch, murmuring amongst themselves, trying to make sense of the scene unfolding before them. But no one truly knows what's going on. They're left with only one question: who is this woman, and what's her connection to the mysterious security team that has suddenly appeared? The answer isn't coming anytime soon. As the woman stands surrounded by the security team, the atmosphere around her grows heavier with each passing second. The airport staff, now quiet and visibly uncomfortable, have stepped back, leaving the security team in control. The woman glances at the clock on the wall. Her flight is still scheduled to depart soon, but it's clear she isn't in any rush. Instead, her attention shifts to a nearby gate where a group of passengers stand in confusion, watching the scene unfold. Some of them whisper, wondering if this is all just a misunderstanding. But deep down, most sense that there's something much darker beneath the surface. Meanwhile, one of the airport employees, a young man with shaky hands, steps forward. He tries to explain that there has been some kind of mistake, that she isn't on the list of approved passengers for this flight. But the moment his words leave his mouth, one of the security team members steps forward with a cold, unwavering stare. Without saying a word, the team member places a hand on the employee's shoulder, guiding him back without a struggle, yet with clear authority. The silence that follows is suffocating, and it only amplifies the growing tension. The woman, meanwhile, remains perfectly still, almost as though she's waiting for something, or someone. Her demeanor betrays no emotion, but those who watch her can feel an unsettling calm about her, as if she's in complete control of the situation. In reality, though, no one really knows what she's thinking, and that's what makes her so dangerous to those around her. The situation is starting to look like more than a simple airport dispute. The involvement of private security, the strange calmness of the woman, and the way the staff has now completely stepped back, all of it suggests that there's something deeper at play. Could this woman be caught in a web of espionage? Or perhaps she's more than just a passenger. Something tells everyone around her that this story is far from over, and they are merely watching the opening act unfold. The tension in the airport is palpable now, thick enough that you could almost cut it with a knife. The woman's stillness contrasts sharply with the heightened anxiety in the air. As security members position themselves in strategic spots around her, the remaining staff are left in a state of nervous confusion, unsure of their next move. What's happening here isn't just a simple disagreement over boarding. This is something much more serious, and they know it. One of the security team members, a tall man with a stern expression, takes out a phone and speaks into it quietly. The low murmur of his voice is barely audible, but it's clear he's receiving instructions. His eyes flicker toward the woman, and she nods once, almost imperceptibly, as though she understands the weight of what's coming. But what could she possibly know that no one else does? She doesn't look worried, not at all. Instead, there's a sense of resolve in her demeanor that sends a chill down the spine of anyone watching. Passengers around her continue to shift uncomfortably, some trying to sneak peeks, others pretending to go about their business. But no one is truly focused on their own travels anymore. The scene has taken on an almost surreal quality, as if everyone is waiting for something to break, something to shift in the atmosphere. Then, without warning, the airport's security alarm begins to sound. A loud, shrill noise cuts through the air, sending a wave of panic rippling through the crowd. People begin to scatter, unsure whether it's a drill or something much more serious. But the woman remains unmoved, her gaze never leaving the security team. It's as if she expected this to happen. She doesn't flinch. The tall man who spoke into the phone moves closer now, and the others tighten their formation around her. The staff are backing away, their eyes darting nervously. Whatever they feared is now fully unfolding, and as the clock ticks down, it becomes clear that something big is about to happen. But what? The moment of truth is almost here. The alarm continues to blare, its shrill sound now blending with the anxious murmurs of the crowd. People are starting to panic, rushing toward exits, but the woman doesn't even flinch. The security team's position tightens, their focus unwavering. The tall man who had been speaking into his phone finally turns to the woman, his eyes intense. He gives her a nod, and without a word, the team begins to escort her toward a secluded area at the far end of the terminal. But just as they move, a sudden shift occurs. From the other side of the gate, another group of figures enters the scene. Their presence is immediate and commanding. Dressed in dark suits and walking with the precision of military personnel, they move swiftly, blocking off any attempt to escape or intervene. It's clear they are not part of the airport's staff. These are outsiders, and their arrival changes everything. The woman's private security stiffens, their hands inching toward their sidearms. The tall man from earlier looks sharply at the newcomers, and for the first time, a flicker of doubt crosses his face. This wasn't part of the plan. The air grows heavy, thick with uncertainty. It's a standoff now, the tension crackling in the space between the two groups. The crowd watches, eyes wide, uncertain of what's unfolding. The tall man steps forward, his voice cold but steady as he speaks to the leader of the new group. "This is not your jurisdiction," he says, his tone firm but laced with underlying fear. The leader of the newcomers, a woman with an icy demeanor, doesn't respond immediately. Instead, she turns to the woman they've been guarding, her gaze sharp and calculating. The woman's face remains unreadable, but the sudden change in dynamics is impossible to ignore. Whoever these new figures are, they've just raised the stakes, and no one knows where this will lead. The game has shifted, and the rules are no longer clear. The standoff between the two security teams reaches its peak. The woman stands between them, her figure seemingly calm, though her eyes flicker with tension. The new group, led by the icy woman in dark suits, is now closing in. The air is thick with unspoken words, every movement measured, every breath heavy with anticipation. The tall man from the original security team steps forward again, his voice low but firm. "You don't have the clearance to interfere." But the woman in charge of the newcomers only smiles, a cold, calculating smile. "I don't need clearance," she replies smoothly, her eyes now fixed on the woman at the center of it all. "I have the authority." The woman, still silent, meets the gaze of the newcomer leader. For a moment, it seems like time slows down. The two women lock eyes, a silent understanding passing between them. This is no longer about the flight or even the security. It's something much bigger, something that's been brewing in the shadows, far from the public eye. Then, with a single swift movement, the woman steps away from the tall man and walks toward the leader of the new group. The tension is unbearable, but as she approaches, the impossible happens. The woman raises her hand and shakes the leader's hand, confirming what no one expected. She's been working with them all along. The woman who was thought to be in danger is, in fact, a key player in this high-stakes game. But just as the tension starts to break, a new voice cuts through the air, a voice from the crowd. "She's not who you think she is," it calls out. The crowd falls silent as a new figure steps forward, and it's someone none of them expected, the young airport employee who had nervously tried to intervene earlier. With a determined look in his eyes, he reveals the final jaw-dropping twist. This woman has been playing both sides all along, and no one, not even the security teams, knew the truth. The crowd, still in shock, watches in stunned silence as the young airport employee steps forward, his voice now steady and confident. He's no longer the nervous figure they first saw. There's a calm determination in his eyes, as if he's been waiting for this moment all along. "You've been played," he says, his gaze shifting between the woman and the two security teams. "She's not who she seems." The woman, who had been at the center of the chaos, finally speaks. Her voice is clear, cutting through the tension. "You should have known," she says, addressing the young employee. "I'm not the one in danger here. You all are." In that moment, the truth begins to settle over everyone like a thick fog. The woman had been a part of a far more elaborate operation than anyone had realized, a high-level negotiation that involved both sides of the security teams. The airport, the security, even the innocent bystanders were merely pawns in a much larger game. The young employee, as it turns out, was the final piece in a puzzle that no one saw coming. He wasn't just an observer, he had been working undercover all along, keeping tabs on the woman and her team. The woman, now revealed as someone with far-reaching influence, hears one final nod to the newcomer security leader. Without another word, they walk away, leaving the confused crowd behind. The airport staff is left to pick up the pieces, unsure of what just transpired or what the real stakes were. As the noise of the crowd fades and calm settles back into the terminal, the questions linger. Who was she really? What was the true purpose of all this? The answers remain elusive, and though the immediate conflict is over, the impact of the day's events is far from forgotten. The people who witnessed it will walk away with more questions than they arrived with, their view of the world forever shifted by the strange events they'd just witnessed. In the end, it wasn't just about a flight. It was about power, control, and the unseen forces that shape our world.